All right, man, you guys got quiet. Let's pray. We'll jump into some stuff. Thank you, Father, for the day. Thank you for food. Thank you for giving us just great weather. Thank you for an opportunity to gather and just be encouraged by each other. In Christ's name, amen. All right, listen, we're still working through what we call obstacles. Like, what are these things that are holding you back from being the best version of you, right? The whole overall arching theme of everything we've been talking about almost since we started this is how to build better humans or become better humans, and then how to be balanced humans, right? And now we're talking about what are those things that keeps us from getting to that goal. And I think I've reminded you every week, it feels like the whole universe conspires against us. I believe it does. It just feels like it's always an uphill battle. It's a quick downhill turn to do something stupid, but it feels like to get your life right it just takes a lot of work and effort. And so that's what we've been looking at. And so with this section of being balanced, we're covering these 7 areas, right? And we're just saying, hey, how can I grow? How can I let these things get better, right? How can I let my family get better? How can I let my friendships get better? How can I let my faith get better? How can I let my field get better? How can I let my finances get better? How can I let my fitness, and how can I let my fun, right? And so we're just trying to find balance in those areas. I took off yesterday because I took my family. We spearheaded the deal. I didn't pay the whole thing, but we all went to Blue Ridge and hung out as a family in this massive house by the river. And man, I'm telling you that there's nothing better than that. So when it's cold and you sit around by a fire and they're saying, "Hey, pops, can you give us some questions?" Right? And so we just give these either or questions or what if questions. And man, we spent the whole night not watching TV, not on our phones, just laughing at each other and encouraging each other and going through life. I feel like that's a win. It was strategic. It took a lot of effort to get everybody in one place, but man, was it worth it. And so this is what we're talking about in every area. How are you letting yourself get better, right? Listen, if you hadn't done anything, you just been sitting there eating and then sleeping during the talks, that's fine. Start today. Figure it out, right? And listen, what kind of goals can you set to make those things happen? Now, you want balance in your. Some of you are really good in about 2 areas, right? You man, I'm killing it in those areas, but it's creating kind of a wobbly life because you're not in some of the others, right? You can have a great family relationship, friend relationship, but if your finances are stinking, it feels like you're always struggling, right? Like just trying to pay the mortgage, or a tire blows, you're thinking, man, there goes. What am I going to do there, right? And so that balance helps you live a really good, robust life at wherever you are. So now we've talked about some of these a good bit, and we're just going to kind of, I'm going to use self sabotage. We'll focus it on next week and kind of end that up. And then we're going to flip it. We're going to talk about what are those attitudes. And if you could just deep dive, deep seed them into your life, man, it's going to propel you. There are some things you can do that'll propel you faster. I'll tell you the biggest one is gratitude, right? If you don't have gratitude, you're never going to get where you want to go. And so we're going to talk about those, and we're going to talk about the good things as well. But so what we've looked at so far is fear, and how, man, that'll drag you down. Fear keeps you from doing the things that you know you should do, but you're just a little afraid that you might fail. And so, listen, nobody ever, failing forward is the reality of life. You just got to get over it and realize everybody's going to fail in getting to where they want to go. We talked about guilt. Guilt will hold you back. I don't deserve this, or I was so stupid here, right? And we can get into that guilt, and then what guilt brings is little brother shame, and man, it just pounds you to death, right? I'm just reminding you of things we've talked about. And then we talked about anger. Man, anger will disrupt. You can have the epitome of this incredible life and character in one moment of anger where you went over the top, right? I mean, that you talked about road rage, right? Talk about somebody talking about domestic squabble ends up in a shooting, right? All those kind of things. That's all anger. There's a lot of stuff happens less than that, but these are the things that we want to avoid. Last week we looked at laziness, and just how the reality is that the diligent get what the lazy want, right? You're never going to get where you want to go just being lazy. It's just not going to happen. You got to make decisions. You got to get after. You got to put the nose to the wheel. That whole kind of thing. Today we're looking at this thing called envy, and man, it's a brutal one too, right? I mean, if you're not careful, it feels like everybody is in the top 10%. They're all the accelerated people, and I'm down here in the short bus class, right? And you can kind of begin to see if that way. You get on social media, you see people, I mean, look, why are they always in Cabo, right? And all of a sudden you're jealous, your wife's mad, your spouse is mad because you're not traveling like they are. What's wrong with you? And then this envy settles in. Some guy gets a new truck. Your truck is fine until some guy gets one slightly better than you, and then you think, well, crap. So I got to go do that, right? And somebody's, well, Lord bless me. Well, if you're taking 72 months to pay off a truck, I'm not sure that the Lord's blessed you. I think you just made a foolish decision to put yourself further in debt, but that's a whole nother story. And so, it's just these aspects of things. So what I want to do today is just talk a little bit about envy, help us understand it, and again, do that takeaway thing. So envy, I guess if we were to give it kind of a practical definition, is resenting someone else's life, right? That's really what it is. You look at somebody else's life and you go, man, why? You find yourself, right. You get angry, you get guilty, all of these things, but they all pile on each other because now you're angry at that person, and then you feel guilty about things, and it just goes on and on. It's wanting what someone else has and secretly wishing they didn't have it. So what happens there is then you begin to sabotage friendships, right? And so this is a part of what happens. Envy is the quickest way to develop a victim mindset. And if you haven't figured this out by now, nothing happens good in a victim mindset. If you see yourself as the victim and everybody's against you and the government's against you and man's against you and everybody's against me, you're going to get nowhere because your focus is always inward, and you're just going to sink. You're actually throwing weights on your body in the middle of an ocean and expecting to survive. That's what happens when you let envy, because it creates that victim mindset. It's the whole world owes you stuff, and it gets terrible. It, it's it's not it's not admiration for someone. It's irritation, right? You admire somebody, that kind of inspires you a little bit, right? I see somebody killing it on social media, like I'm trying to do as far as like building a business, and they're killing it. And I'm like, man, good for them, right? I don't think, well, man, if they're getting all the good stuff, there's going to be nothing left for me. There's a whole world in grandparent coursing and things like that. I get inspired by somebody that's killing. I'm like, hey, if that lane's opened up for them, it will be for me too, right? You see how that works? This is why this is important. But if you get irritated at that stuff, it just drains you. Envy grows when we compare our behind the scene life to everybody's like highlight reels. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's easy to look and see somebody living a great life, right? They got the house, they got everything else. But what you don't know is what happens on the inside of that house, or what happens in the bedroom, or what kind of baggage they brought into there. If you knew what most people have going on, you wouldn't trade your life for it. But we don't see all that part because we're really good at covering and hiding that up. You're only seeing a surface glimpse, and you're letting that dictate this irritation that you feel. Envy steals gratitude because you're not grateful for what you have, right? The best cure for you would be to go to a third world country. Every time I go to India, I'm going again in March, and I'll be there for 2 or 3 weeks. I come home and I feel like the most selfish, materialistic person on the planet. I start cleaning out my closet. I start, all of that stuff happens, right? So if you're not careful and you start looking around instead of looking inward and go, hey man, I'm really happy with my life. I got this going on. I got that going on. It's all about that. Envy will steal gratitude, and you can't do both at the same time. You can't be grateful and be envious of others. It's impossible. Try it. It won't. You just can't do it. Now, let's talk about envy versus jealousy, because sometimes I think we get those things confused and we think they're all alike. Envy says, "I want what you have." You lack what somebody else has. That's your assessment. It's usually between two people. You find somebody that's doing better, and then you get angry, and then you start trying to plot how you can either get past them or sabotage them. So it's king of the hill at that point. How can I pull them down so I can get me up where I want to go? Envy is resenting someone else's blessing or pace or race in life. Right? That's what's going on. And so like, man, everything's good until somebody gets a promotion, and then now all of a sudden you're like, well, what what happened there? Why did I get one? Right? No inward inspection. Just they didn't deserve that. I should have gotten that. I should. Nobody's giving me credit for stuff. You see what's happening? You're going downhill pretty fast, right? And so that's the kind of thing that happens. Now, jealousy says I'm afraid of losing what I have. Envy is wanting what somebody else has. Jealousy is I'm afraid I'm going to lose what someone else has. Your fear is being that something's being taken from you. And that too is rooted in fear. Jealousy equals protecting what you value. Now, we mostly know what that looks like in the relationships, right? And so but it's crazy how jealousy can creep up in you in a hurry. All right. I mean, several years ago now, my wife was directing weddings. It's what she does. She loves it. And I would do a lot of weddings with her. And anyway, she came home one evening and she was talking about stuff. And she said something about, yeah, I danced with so and so. And I'm like, you did what? Because she don't dance. And I'm like, you did what? Yeah. Well, he came back. It was a kid, right? I mean, like a kid, 18-year-old kid, and he wouldn't let her, she didn't want to go, but felt like she got drug out there. And I'm like, what is wrong why is this beast here? I am not jealous of anybody, but there's something in me that's like, that ain't going to happen anymore ever in the history of our life. Right. But that's how quick that it can just jump in there. Right. So that's what that looks like. Now, let's talk about how envy shows up. How does it show up in the area of field, right? Like comparing paychecks or titles or attention, right? That kind of thing will wear you out, and you're going to have these feelings of being overlooked. That's envy. Stay in your lane. This is if there's one thing I could tell you, it's just stay in your lane, right? You got a great thing going on. Quit looking over in the grass greener on the other side kind of thing, and just live your life and just do the best you can, right? Same thing in family and friends, comparing lifestyles, and everybody's got more toys. We've talked about a lot of these. Sibling rivalry, that's a big one. All of those things create envy. Fitness and fun, comparing your body to everybody else's, or opportunities or abilities. They're having more fun. They're whatever. Those are all the things that this animal can create. Here's what it costs you. If you decide that you're going to play the game of comparison constantly in your life, you won't have any gratitude. And I'm just telling you, it's one of the worst things you can do. You'll stop seeing what you have, and then it's game over at that point. I'm just going to tell you one more time. Gratitude is the best attitude that you can ever have. You get gratitude, it feels like everything else follows. And so I just want to make sure you do that. It kills your peace too, because now you're never satisfied. You were happy with your house or your car until somebody got one better, right? And that's what happens. And so it kills peace. It kills relationships because it turns people into rivals at that point. And now you're trying to it goes to silly sabotage and stuff like that. It also kills growth because you lack focus on yourself and your strengths. You're so worried about somebody else, you're not getting any better. You haven't, because so hey, maybe the whole fact is that guy's getting there earlier to work and he's staying later at work, or maybe he actually got his degree and you didn't think you needed one, and now you realize, man, I kind of wish I had. Well, if you're going to play that game instead of focusing on you, you're never going to grow, right? You can still go to school. You can still get up early. You can still do that extra mile work, right? It's up to you. And so those are the things that take place. So how do we fix this thing? It goes back to every one of them. Name it. You should say, I think I'm being envious right now. I think that's what's going on. Right? Just say it. Don't make excuses. It's just so important that we name. Hey, I'm afraid. Right? Or hey man, I feel I'm really overcome with my guilt and shame, and here's what's going on. Or man, I really have an issue with anger, right? It's the same thing with laziness. It's how we get over it. We have to name it. That's why you go to an AA meeting, right? Hey, I'm Randy. I'm an alcoholic, right? Why do they say that? Because you have to face it first before you can ever conquer it. And so that's all we're doing is knocking all these down. So first thing you're going to do is name it. Second thing is you're going to shift the focus. Instead of why them, why are they getting that? You should start asking, hey, what can I learn from them so that I can get on that same action? It's just a flip of the switch in your mindset, right? This isn't hard, but you're so angry and everything else because somebody has what you don't want that now it's just I hate them. I hate everything about their life, right? As opposed to, hey man, maybe I should study and ask them, hey, can we go to lunch and you help me figure out what you did? Because maybe they know of something that you don't know. And maybe it's just a few steps and then you're where you want to be, right? So quit seeing everybody as the enemy. And the third one, I'm going to, again, about the fifth time I probably said this, practice gratitude daily. Gratitude turns burdens into blessings, really. I mean, hey man, there's times I wish you'd seen the nasty cars we used to drive. We'd pile in, five of us in like these little Ford. What was that thing called? I forgot what it was. It was nasty. Um, and the windows wouldn't roll down, the sunroof leaked, the whole thing, man. I'm just telling you, it's that kind of thing. But when you look back and you realize, I'm just grateful that we had at least one car, right? And so you begin to love those things. It's just about gratitude. And then the other one is celebrate others out loud, right? Somebody gets a new car, new house, new whatever it is that you don't like. Hey, man, good for you, right? Instead of going, oh, really? Well, how much you paid, right? Instead of going that whole route, just go, hey, man, good for you. Come on, right? There's something about that God of the universe loves. And all of a sudden you start feeling things going your way. And so these are the things that happen. The last one that I would give you is that you should just run your race. Just focus on where you are. I'm telling you, it's the best way to be. I live my life believing that God opens doors and closes doors for this old boy right here. And so if there's a door that closed and I really wanted that job, but it didn't happen, I'm going to give myself maybe a 3-hour window to have that pity party, maybe cry a little bit about stuff. I'm going to go, all right, this wasn't for me. I'm moving on. Because I trust that God's going to put me where he wants me. I want that for you, but some of you aren't there, and that's fine. But it's still, the principle works no matter, right? You're just going to go, hey, this is my lane, right? I think I've told you, my son, Jared, oldest one, works for Delta. He's the reason why I get to fly free, confirmed. He's a blessing in my life. He's 45 years old, has a 13-year-old special needs daughter. She can't walk, she can't talk, she can't eat. She feeds through a tube. We were with her all weekend, so she'll lay on a blanket in the floor, and we just all go love on her, or we'll put her in the wheelchair and we'll ride her around, and she can communicate. If I say, you want to go outside, everybody else out there, you want to go, and I say, hey, look at me. Well, she can figure out how to get those eyes and lock on me, and then I know what she wants. My point, though, is my son always wanted to have a bunch of kids. And you end up with this, and it's a genetic issue that took place. There's a fear and they ended up overcoming that fear, and they had another child, and she's 10. She's an incredible girl and loves life too. But my son made this statement. We did this podcast interview with my kids. And he said, Dad, he said, I realized that I had to get to a place where I realized I'm not going to have the life I wanted, and it's okay. And I'm like, wow, how powerful is that? Because I mean, he's like the best dad in all the world because he's not focused on everybody else has the perfect family, and I've got all the expenses of Harper Kate, and I've got all the gear. Had to buy a van with the all. He's unconcerned about all that. He just realized, hey, I have to come to the realization I'm not going to live the life I want, and it's okay. And he's one of the happiest men you'll ever meet in your whole life. This is what this does to us. When we name the thing and go, I'm not going to be envious of anybody else. It's a game changer. Your habits, your path, your growth. That's what you want to focus on, right? Better habits, better pick a path and stick with it, and ask the question, how can I let it get better, right? And that's really how we're knocking all these things down. Next week we're going to look at focus and self-sabotage, and then we're going to move into something else. But man, I so appreciate you guys coming and just listening. It gives me a chance to preach to myself every once in a while and remind me that I can drift into that too. You guys have a great day.